If you are here today, then you're probably clicking because you want to know about vasectomies. Number one thing that I can tell you is that you still blow your load. Sorry if that seems kind of blunt or kind of disgusting, but I've had dads actually ask me, like, does that change? And it makes sense, if you're going to cut those tubes or something like that and cut things off, then it's going to stop, right? No, it does not stop it. Sorry if you think that's an immature question, but that's actually the truth of what I've heard from dads, And then when it comes down to it too, is there any change in my sex drive? Zero. As a matter of fact, I've been having tons more sex. So that's really, really something I wasn't expecting, and I'm very, very happy about, and I wish for you guys watching. But I'm here to talk to you about the truth about this, because there is fear surrounded by this stuff. There's fear when you actually go in and you start talking to the doctor, start talking to the urologist, talking to your wife about this stuff, talking to your friends about this stuff, and I'm going to try my best to be able to squash that fear so that because this is one of the easiest things to do. It's one of the best things to do if you're satisfied in your life, if you don't want kids, or if you have enough kids. So follow me and I will tell you about my journey, because at this point in time right now, it's already done. I've already had it done and I feel great. There wasn't a lot of pain. I'll try to tell you more right now, okay? Stay tuned. How are we doing today? Welcome to the Legendary Daddy channel. I'm Legendary Daddy. This is my book, The Legendary Daddy, and today I'm talking about vasectomies. So if you can, click, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But let's get started. I love my kids. I love being a dad. That's like my passion. It's my thing. It was my thing before it became a thing, a real life thing. But pregnancy sucks. I really understand that, and I believe that. I remember my wife, we went to some work party or something like that, and she was pregnant with our first. And I met a woman who, she said, she had 3 kids or something like that. And she said, having a baby is weird. It's kind of like, it's like having a parasite inside of you. And I thought, geez, that's not a very cool way to look at it, I mean, granted, it was our first, my wife was pregnant and I was like romanticizing it, of course. And so was my wife. When it came down to it, it's been years now. And what that woman said, I wouldn't say parasite, but that's pretty much kind of more of what it's like than the romanticized part. My wife had morning sickness. Her body changed. I always remember being in the delivery room, arriving there when my wife needed my help and thinking, oh God, man, why the fuck did we do this? That's a sign that you need a vasectomy. And that's what my wife and I both knew. There was a close call, and she thought she was pregnant. She explained it to me, and both of our reactions we knew was, what? So we are very, very happy, and we are very satisfied. So this decision, just starting looking at just the basics of it, what you might be doing. Do you want any children in the future? Are you done with the amount of kids that you have? That's what you usually start with. And we started with that, and it was, we're done. We're good with this. There are different reasons why, though, and I'm going to tell you about those right now. So one of them is my wife's age. Once you get past 35, a woman gets past 35, she's labeled as high risk. So the whole pregnancy thing takes a different turn after that. There's a lot more fear involved, a lot more testing involved, a lot more visits involved to the doctor, and it's kind of rough. So we have our 3. That's good. We know that she'd be going through that process. We didn't want that, so okay. The other thing is my wife's body. My wife loves to be healthy. She loves to be active. And I know that once she's pregnant, that all changes. She went to the gym with all of our kids. But when it comes down to it, I know what happens, and what happens after that. It's her body. She has to carry it. I'm considerate of her feelings and everything about her. I love her. She's my partner, my teammate. I have to be a great teammate to her. So when she says no for her own body things, I agree 100%. The other issue is money. We have an adequate amount of money right now, and it feels good. We're able to provide for our kids, and that's one thing that I want to be able to maintain with my kids. Now, I have a buddy who has 7 kids. We went to lunch one day, and I took him to one of his favorite places to eat, and he explained, like, just coming here to eat is one of the best parts of visiting you today. Sorry to say, but it is, because he said we don't go to dinner hardly anymore as a family, because all of us together, it kills our budget like that. And I never realized these things. And he explained to me what it's like once you have a certain number of kids. Imagine, going to theme parks, staying at a hotel overnight, for on vacation. It's really, really, really difficult. And I learned that from my friends. So I decided, right now, financially, we can kind of pull it off. I don't want to put us in any kind of jeopardy. And I think then the last thing would probably have to be time. The amount of time that you can give to your kids, you know. I saw that in families that were big families too. I saw some people struggling with being able to make the time to teach their kids, to help their kids. And, you know, with schoolwork, with anything like that, by the time you get to like the fifth and the sixth kid, sometimes they're left behind. You know, parents are trying to make a living, trying to get the money coming in, trying to help with the older ones. Imagine yourself trying to get 5 kids, 4 kids to, you know, different classes they have to go to, different sports they want to be in, different things, trying to provide for them and give them a full life. So that was another reason why we decided, you know, no, I think that's good enough. When it came to the choices for, you know, not having any more kids, of course my wife can get her tubes tied, but that procedure is kind of a lot more complex than it is for me to get a vasectomy. There's also contraception, different things, but we wanted to be able to be completely free and not have to worry about anything, and vasectomy is the way to go for that. I was also told about the fears from it, and I just started realizing, you know, I think I gotta get rid of these fears because this is something I'm gonna have to do. So I went to the doctor. The doctor told me, like, I'm the person you want to go to because they were going to refer me to a urologist. When I talked to the urologist, that was a really fun thing to do because this guy was really, really cool, okay? So the urologist comes in, he's fully decked out in like surgery clothes. It looks like, you know, a mask and, you know, this cap, he's covering his hair. And this is his office, you know, like any old doctor's office. But I remembered like, oh, that's right. He does the procedures in office. So he's doing them like, he might have done some this morning. He might be doing some later on today. So I thought, oh, wow, this is crazy. The guy got down to freaking brass tacks right away. He said like, look, are you ready for this? Where's your wife? Because I want to talk to her. I told him that she wasn't available at the moment. He said, does she want to do this? Because this is no joke. You're going to sign papers, which I did. Signing papers saying like, I'm of sound mind. I am choosing this on my own. I understand that we're not going towards reversal or anything like that. I'm doing it. He said, are you sure? I explained to him the possibility she could have been pregnant and that it didn't happen, and we were really relieved. And he even said like, yeah, you got lucky. The next question he talked to me about or asked me was, okay, so let's say you win the lotto tomorrow. You divorce your wife. You get a 19-year-old girlfriend. She says she wants kids. Are you going to regret it? What if that happens? What would you choose? That was really, really cool. I admired how blunt and honest this guy was and how serious he was. I told other people about how the urologist told me that, and they were kind of like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Why would he say that? I appreciated his honesty. And I told them, my wife and I already talked about that. We discussed something along those lines, and I told her, I'm 46 years old now. If I know that, you know, having kids with a future woman, if something would happen with my wife or anything like that, that having kids is like a selling point, you know, that's how you can keep a relationship. And I told her, you know what, I am old now. I wouldn't be able to probably carry my kids, play with them the same ways. I'm already kind of old for that now. I feel it in my body. So other people can argue like, you can do it until you're in your 80s. I understand that, but the way I express myself as a dad, the way I do it, a young body is kind of necessary. And that's the way I like doing it. I'd rather just focus on my 3 and understand that the day has come. I'm older now. I'm willing to let it go. And that means even with some 19-year-old after winning the lotto. So the urologist said, okay, sounds good. Sounds like we're ready to do this. He's like, because reversible or reversing a vasectomy, don't be leaning on that. I'm going to tell you right now, you get that done, you get the vasectomy done, you try to reverse it, your sperm are all fucked up. That's the words he actually said. Your sperm will be all fucked up. He's like, it's not that easy to have a baby after that, and things can go really wrong. He's like, if you reverse it within the first year, okay, then you might be able to do it, you know, but other than that, no. If you're doing this, start realizing you're going to be doing this all the way. So knowing that it's, you know, not going that, you know, reversing a vasectomy, that's kind of an important thing to keep in your head. I don't believe the doctor is lying to me. I do believe that that's probably very true. He's seen these situations before. So one good thing about this is that most insurances take care of this. It's really, really simple procedure, and it's done in office, you know. In my situation, it wasn't, because right after having that little interview, he had me drop trowel and he checked and he said, okay, we have a little bit of an issue. You might have a varicocele. I was like, okay, what the heck is a varicocele? He's like, okay, there's 2 tubes. There's one for the sperm ducts. Then there's the other one, which is a vein supplying blood. It's possible from the outside, I can't tell, this vein burst in some way or expanded. So when I get in there and I cut open, make that incision, get in, it's going to be a bloody mess. So we have to do it at the hospital. That sucked because I had to go through this whole route of doing it I had to do a pre-op thing. They had to make sure I didn't have COVID and get tested within a certain amount of time. They blew it off because COVID rates increased and then they dropped. So there was a whole bunch of freaking drama surrounding my simple procedure that made it much more complex. But I did it. And after doing it, it was so funny because the way they took care of it, it was just like they'd done in the office. But although in the office they do a local anesthetic, in other words, they get a needle and they shoot the tissue on your scrotum and in that area so that you are numbed up. They make a slight incision. I had incisions on both sides, small little dark lines where, I could see where they made the incision. They go in, pull the tubes out. They cut out a chunk of that tube. They clamp both sides. Usually they clamp, and then they cauterize it. They burn them. So they are burned closed, and they're not going to open again. They're not going to reconnect. There's nothing. That's it. It's done. That's what they did to mine. Now, coming out of the surgery right away, I was told several things, which were very simple. They were saying pretty much, you can't lift anything heavy for 5 days. At least 5 days. I think a week is probably right, because they said a week at first, but then the doctor was telling me 5 days I would start moving around and picking stuff up and not being too afraid. Just the lifting, that's the main thing. Lifting something heavy and putting pressure down there. He explained, you can bust something down there and your balls will bleed. He's like, you want blood in your balls. He's like, blood gets in your sac, it'll expand. He's like, you have to come to me, we have to drain the blood out. It's this whole procedure. Don't lift anything heavy. So I didn't. I stayed the hell away from that because that was actually pretty scary. He told me not to be sitting on my butt. He said, I don't want you sitting around lazy. I want you moving. And I did. I moved. I went for walks. I was completely fine. It was cool. And then he said, 1 week after the procedure, I want you having sex right away. He's like, and in 1 month, in 30 days, I want you to shoot for 25 ejaculations. So that's sex 25 times, or if not sex, also. He said, because in that sperm duct, the one that's still connected to where it supplies with the semen, there is still sperm in there. We need to get that stuff out. He said, usually about 25 to 30 will clean everything out. That's what I want you to do. So I did that. And in the next month, I ended up reaching 25, about 30. Went back in to check. He asked how everything was going, looked at the scar tissue, or, where the little bit where the incisions were at, told me I had a great experience, that I didn't have, that I healed super fast. And he said, that's a really good thing for you to know. Because if you ever have a surgery, you heal pretty fast. He said that they did pathology work on that little bit of tube that they cut out and that there was nothing irregular down there. And he said that the varicocele, he was wrong. There was no big bloody mess down there, that it was actually fatty tissue that made it seem like there was a varicocele problem. So that was it. The next thing I'm trying to go for, which I can't do right now because it's very difficult. I've been trying to get this test, but I have to take a test. I have to give a semen sample so they can count the sperm in my semen. The tough thing with that is that the insurance companies give me kind of the runaround with that because I have to do it at a place where I ejaculate into a cup and they have to check it within 30 minutes. Past 30 minutes or 2 hours, it's not a reliable test, I guess. So I'm having a tough time with that, but I'm pretty sure I've gone to like past 50, 60 ejaculations because this is something that I wish for every one of you men out there thinking about getting this, especially, But my wife, I think, if you think about this, she has sex. There's got to be a little bit of a fear of like pregnancy, I think my wife had that. We had plenty of sex. We were always happy. Everything's always okay. But when it came time doing the vasectomy, it's like she was free. All of a sudden she realized the fear of being pregnant completely let her just go crazy. So sex now is tons more than we ever had before. And I can understand why. That fear of having another child, not using contraception, being a lot more free, not having to worry about the days that she's ovulating, any of that kind of stuff, relying on this being done and it being like 99.99 whatever percent accurate or effective, it's completely freeing. And that's what I want to finish with today, is that happy ending. I hope you guys have a happy ending with this. If this has served you in any way possible, please support my channel by liking, subscribing, and clicking that little bell so that you can get notifications. I try to get my videos out on the weekends when, especially if daddies are around, have the weekends off. You can watch a good video. I can entertain you for a bit, like with issues like my vasectomy that I had done. So, Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope this helped in any way possible. If you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Peace.